Yo ho bro, and welcome to another tutorial on how to use Blender. Today we're going to be going through some of the processes that I'm going to have to use for the newest animation that you want me to make. Namely, the pretty horses meet the new Minecraft horse model. But first, I'm going to have to get a scene for where this animation is going to take place, and for that we're going to first have to get into the game Minecraft. This is probably the funnest part of doing the animation, is just going into Minecraft and exploring a world, looking for an area that you're going to be shooting everything in. So we spawn into a new world in order to see what we can find for the scene that we want. What we want for a scene is a clearing amongst a thick layer of trees. So we've already come into a plains area with a little bit of trees here, and we also have a forest over here. So this is the ideal type of biome that we're looking for. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it has exactly what I'm wanting. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do is actually come to a whole nother world, and I'm gonna bring in large biomes instead, because these biomes are just far too small to get what I want. I mean, this forest here might work fine, but there isn't enough of the biome for me to work with. I'm gonna need like a forest area, and I could probably cut down a bunch of trees, but this isn't going to work. So what I think I'm gonna do is get a whole nother world and try again. And again we spawn into a field area, which frankly is really lucky. Out of the two worlds that I've created, the small biome and the large biome, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. Now what I need to have is a area that I exactly want, which is actually a small clearing surrounded by a thick layer of trees. Now I may not be able to find exactly what I'm looking for, but I might be able to find an area that I could possibly use for the area, and I could just take down a bunch of trees and add in a bunch more. Now over here looks like I could start cutting down a bunch of trees. Yes. Over here looks pretty good. Might do it over nice chasm. Might come over here and yeah, might come over here and cut down a few of these trees. Might fill in a bunch of this water. Yeah, I think what I can do is make the clearing right about here and make this a little bit level, get rid of that pond right there, and I will be able to have my clearing. So I'll be back when I've finished doing what I need to. Alright, I think I have my scene completely set up. I have this area where there's going to be a long line of horses looking to try out to be the next model for Minecraft. And we got a queue area right here, the wooden queue area that I wanted to look a little bit more fancy as they come up to the spot where they're going to be judged. I have these two iron grates just as placements for the pretty horses where they're going to stand. I'm using these guys because blocks next to blocks tend to take away some of the mesh that is when you import all of this stuff into an OBJ file. So this should keep these grass blocks rendered within inside of Minecraft, since this is an air block. There should be some grass still underneath these carpets, but that's not too worrisome. This right here I just wanted to put down for my own reference. I have the table where Puka is going to be standing at. I decided to have a couple of security guards here. I probably misspelled security, but that's not really what matters, because security isn't actually going to be imported when I import all of this. I'm going to have to put that in while I'm in Blender. But those observer blocks will be there. I've added in a bunch more trees. I actually wanted all the short trees that I could possibly have, the ones that have only one air gap until they hit the leaves, so that way when the camera looks across, all they see is a lot of leaves, and that's what I was going for. So thankfully, I think I've covered most of the angles that matter. There are a few that I could probably just adjust the camera, like right here. I can see pretty far down that way. But if I adjust it just that much, it will go away. So, I think I have all of my angles covered. There's a few big trees in here just to give it a little bit more of a skyline if the camera were to look up a little bit. So I think this area is looking good. I definitely wanted an aerial shot from here to see all the line of horses, and over here for that. And also Puka is going to be in the first video. There's going to be a series of 4. Puka is going to be talking to a horse here and then running across over to the pretty horses here. So I have that line of sight covered, as well as beyond the line of horses that's going to be over there. So I think that's right. Oh, I did also put in a couple blocks that I need hidden behind some places, just so that I can drag them over for when they're going to be in use. So, I think I have everything covered. Now it's time to import the entire world, and let's show you how to do that. There are a couple programs that you're going to need before you start working inside of Blender. One of them is going to be Mineways, and the other is going to be MCPrep, both of which is going to be the top result when you Google search it. So first we're going to take a look at Mineways. Mineways is basically just taking your save file, selecting a certain area, and it will import everything from possible sky to possible bedrock. And it will turn that into an OBJ file, which is easily read by most 3D rendering programs, including Blender, which is free. The other program that you're going to possibly want, you don't need it, is MCPrep. It definitely makes things a lot easier. When you import the OBJ file, it will take all of the meshes that you've imported from Minecraft and give them a texture, a proper texture from the file that you've just imported from Minecraft. So it'll turn all your grass blocks into grass and turn all your stone blocks into stone. MCPrep also has something in it that I haven't been able to get working, which is a mesh swap, which turns, as you can see here, the grass into waving grass and the book into a folding book. It would be nice if I could get that to work, but we're not too concerned about it right now. We're just going to have normal Minecraft textures, and the grass will just be one-dimensional. JMC to OBJ, it is another program instead of Mineways that imports your Minecraft world into an OBJ file, but I haven't gotten that to apply the Minecraft textures to the blocks properly. For some reason I can't import the textures that all the blocks have. So eventually I'll figure it out, but for right now I don't know how to use JMC to OBJ. Right now I just use Mineways and MCPrep. The great thing about Mineways is that it already knows where your Minecraft folder is if you've installed it in the normal location. If you've installed somewhere else, you're going to have to use Open. But Open World, this little drop-down tab, already knows where your worlds are and what they're called. Thankfully, I was looking for a scene, and I called it Looking Part 2, which was the second world that I was looking at. So thankfully, I can click on that, and already the world is loaded up. And since I had a giant red carpet, it should be fairly easy to locate where the area was, which is right here. It's not going to import any of the entities, say the wolves that were around there, or the monsters. So all I have to do is select a certain area. Now what we want is not too much to overload our computer, but just enough so that the world doesn't oddly cut off. So we're going to grab, let's see here, we're going to right click and drag this pink area right here, and I think that's gonna be enough. Use the spacebar later if you want. I don't care what that is. That doesn't matter to me. Okay, I'm gonna right click and expand this a little bit and expand this a little bit, and yeah, right about there. Good. Perfect. I think that's exactly what I want. Now I don't need the height to be all the way up to the sky. Max height, we can bring that down all the way until we start to see some changes inside of our selection. As you can see, there's a little bit of pink changing. That's cutting off the certain layer at layer 77 or Y77 inside Minecraft. So what we can do is we're just going to go up a little bit from there and have a little bit of space. So we're going to be Y100. Now we don't need all the way down to bedrock, which is going to be 0, but we're going to need a little bit more than 62, what it was at. We're going to go below the water. Let's see here. So that's the water level right there. And then keep on going down below. We want at least below the water, just in case for some reason we need the water. So 47. So 100 to 47 is probably a good height. I don't need that deep, but sometimes things come up and you think of another idea. So we're going to grab a little bit more of the caves, just in case for some reason I think of something else that I want to add into the animation. So alright, there we got 100, Y100 to Y37, and selected within this pink box. All you have to do is file, export for rendering, and we are going to put this in my 3D rendering, my models, Minecraft landscapes, and we're going to call this PH for pretty horses, meet new model scene. If I could spell scene correctly. There we go. New models for scene. Save. And I believe there's nothing really we need to do about this. This is some more stuff if you wanted to adjust it. The X and the Z are already determined by the pink border, and the height we've already determined from those sliders. Create zip file, don't really need to do that. Export individual blocks. Separate materials by block, yes. I want to separate the materials. So basically all the leaves will become one object, all the grass will be another object, all the water will become another object. This allows me to select different objects and mess with them a bit. Usually everything in here is fine. There is something else that you can do to get rid of the exterior blocks or the things that are facing at the edge of the selection. So anything at X55 and X254 isn't really going to be seen on the opposite side of the block, but it's something that we can take care of in post if it really messes with my computer. For right now, no changes needed. Hit OK. and that will export that into an OBJ, and we can head into our Blender program. Alright, so now we are inside of Blender. As you can see, this is the normal startup file. Opposed to the cursor, I tend to move that a little too much just from out of habit. But we're just going to get rid of this cube. We don't need this guy. And we're going to come up to here, and we're going to import the mod that we downloaded, the MCPrep file. Now I've already imported it into my Blender, but let's user preferences is what we want. This is what's going to pop up when you come to user preferences. You're going to want to click on the tab at the top that says add-ons, then come down where it says install add-on from file, and you're going to want to find the file that you downloaded, downloads, and let's see here, come over to MCPrep, and the MCPrep 3.02 is what we're going to want to put in there. Just click on install add-on from file. Now notice that it is a zip file. You're not supposed to unzip what you download. Make sure that it's a zip file when you import it into Blender. Alright, you'll click on that, but I'm going to click on this because I already have it installed. You're going to want to come over here to the search bar, and the easiest way to find that is by just putting in MCPrep, and it will come up with this search function up here. Make sure that this little guy is checked on, and yep, that's all that you need to do. Just make sure that little box is checked, and save user settings. Alright, now that we have the MCPrep installed using the user preferences, it should be on your left hand side right over here. It says MCPrep on that tab. Now we can go ahead and import that OBJ. Coming over to here, we're going to come into import and wavefront OBJ file. And all you have to do is locate wherever the OBJ file is that you exported from your world, my models, landscape, and we called it PH, let's see here, element OB, there it is. And you're going to want the OBJ extension on it. Don't click on the MTL. That is needed for the OBJ, but we want just that. Alright, and it should take a little while to import. The file that we made was fairly large, and you're going to see this when you come in. Now this is not going to look anything like what you just had, but that's because we're underground, and also we are inside of Blender Render. We're going to quickly want to go into Cycles Render, and this is the one that I tend to use more often. You can use Blender Render if you want, just Cycles Render is a lot better with shadows and some other things. So we're going to be in Cycles Render, and we're going to go into Material, and then while everything is still selected, I'm going to come up here at the top of our MCPrep tab, and we're going to click on Mindways. Or at least it would say Mindways if I extended out this bar just a little bit. And that's the program that we used in order to import it. Let's see, are we going to click on Prep Materials? This will allow the materials that imported along with our export from the world to apply to each block correctly. So Prep Materials, and we don't need to use reflections because we don't have any worlds. Combine materials, not sure what that is, just going to deselect it anyways. Hit OK, and we now have all the materials prepped, and as you can see, we are really under the ground, and these floating blocks here are actually the caves. Shift F, and we're going to fly around a little bit. Holding shift to go faster. Yep, these floating blocks are the caves, and it doesn't render anything behind that in order to save on certain things. Oh, it does get rid of the grass blocks. Interesting. I thought since it was an air block inside of Minecraft, it would just keep on rendering the grass block underneath the carpet, but it doesn't. Well, that's good to know. Something that I'm going to have to add in later. Alright. Let us deselect everything. There we go. Fly out a little bit, and as you can see, everything looks a little weird. And as it should. Blender has changed up a few things lately with how pixels look when you have transparency with these leaves, and it has this weird white border within the material viewing. We are going to take a look to see what it looks like when we go into a rendered view. So I'm going to select the lamp up here in the upper right hand corner, and where is it? There's our lamp. We're going to drag that right up here just so that it's a little bit visible later on. We're going to turn that lamp, and we're going to turn it into a sun. Using nodes, we're going to strengthen it to 3, and we're going to reduce the size to 0. Awesome, so that we can have crisp Minecraft shadows. Let's also change our world and have an ambient occlusion, and just so that everything renders a little bit quicker. And we are going to go into a rendered view and see what this looks like. Alright, it's starting to look good. Rendering rather slowly, but that's just fine because I have a lot of stuff in this picture. There we go. Yeah, it's looking just right. I'm going to have that sun angling down straight. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I'm going to want a lot less shadows for this, but for right now, this is looking the way I want it to. The cream crisp pixel transparencies. Alright, so let's go back into materials so that we can move around a lot faster. So that's it for importing the scene. One last thing before I end out the tutorial is that each of these materials is a separate object. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of these grates before I do anything, but there's metal grates that I used for the security guards over here. I want to separate these two, so I'm just going to select the metal grates, or the iron bars, and I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode. And what I'm going to want to do is hit C, and I'm just going to right middle click this in order to get rid of that selection. That's not deselecting everything. Let's click that guy. This should allow me to select anything behind objects. So let's hit C, middle button, deselect, deselect. Yeah, that deselected everything. What I did there, I'm going to explain it in a little bit other terms, is that if I click on this grass and I hit tab, I can see the grass behind the trees over there. That's what's being selected. So that hill over there is being selected. So if I come back down here, I can see that selection behind the trees. This little button down here allows me to only select what is visible or what is beyond visible. So when I went over to this metal grating, I wasn't selecting everything behind its own block. So I turned that guy on in order to allow me to select other things behind there. But what I wanted was just these guys selected. No matter how you go about it, that's what I wanted, and what we need to do is just come down here to mesh and vertices and separate by selection. Alright, now this is a separate object from that. Hit tab, and I'm just going to select this only, and we are going to just hit delete. Delete, yep, and there we go. Now we have our placeholders removed, and we have our security guard bodies still intact. And our scene is ready to have our actors inside of it and start working on fixing up some other things that we need to for our scene. So that's going to be it for this tutorial. Thank you everybody for following along. This is the Puka signing out.